Welcome to Just Thinking. This is Mary Greendale. The title of this show grew out of a lifetime of curiosity about many different subjects. Some local, some global, and some in between. For each show, I will open with my thoughts and then bring on guests who explore the subject in greater detail. I hope the show inspires healthy discussions on camera and among viewers. To me, the sky's the limit when we are just thinking. Hi, I'm Mary Greendale, and this is Just Thinking. The town election is May 22nd. Most seats are unopposed, but there are a few contests. I will be interviewing candidates for any seat in which more than one candidate is running. I will ask the same questions of all candidates so that viewers can compare one to the other. I have found that this approach works better than a staged debate where people are so nervous we really can't get to know them at all. These interviews will be available on HCAT TV, on Facebook, and on YouTube. So I have with me now Lisa Kocian, who is an incumbent. That is, she's finishing her first term on the school committee. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. How did that first term go? Okay? You must be okay, or here you wouldn't be back.
I'm still here. Yes, I learned a lot.
Good. So tell us a bit about yourself before we get into the...
Well, I'm a transplant. I'm originally from a small town in South Texas.
Really?
So
very different
perspective. Yeah, I've been told I'm from the Midwest, where I've never lived.
Okay.
People hear a Midwestern accent somehow. But I've lived my entire adult life, except for 3 years in Russia and Ukraine. I've lived my entire adult life in New England and mostly Massachusetts. So I've been here been in the Boston area since '98. And I've now been in Holliston for 9 years.
Really going to get to be a townie. Hang on there a little longer.
Yeah, no, I'll never be a townie. My husband's, he can go back to the Mayflower. So
really?
I think he counts.
Okay, great. All right, so when you were first elected, why did you choose to do this committee as opposed to anything else?
Well, there were two main reasons. I worked for the Boston Globe for 13 years, and I covered a lot of education stories, covered a lot of school committees, talked to a lot of superintendents way before I had my son. So I was always really interested in education. And then I had my son, who's now 7. And when I ran for school committee, he was going into kindergarten. So it was just... it looked like there was going to be an open seat. It turned out to be a contested race, but at the time when I decided to run, it looked like there was going to be an open seat. And I thought, I want to see what it looks like on the other side, having covered so many districts. I want to get a different perspective. And boy, does the open meeting law look a little bit different now.
Yeah.
It was my best friend when I was a reporter,
yep.
And now it's just a little bit different.
Well, yeah, and before people become suspicious of what that means, it's just that people respond differently. The office holders respond differently, and it becomes much more of a challenge to get straight, honest information sometimes.
Well, and we can't talk to each other. If you don't see us talking to each other in an open meeting, we can't as a group talk to each other.
So there's no opportunity for brainstorming and sharing ideas and, that kind of thing. So
that's what I was referring to. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, it really makes it harder. But anyway, so now as you look at this year, what do you think you've accomplished, understanding that you're only one of 7 people and the superintendent is really in charge?
Yes, and that's an important point, because I think that no one on the school committee really gets credit for anything. We're all part of a team. We're all collaborators. And one of the first lessons I learned was that we don't really have any power. Mm-hmm. We have influence. Yep. And to be able to work effectively as a team, you have to have good relationships with the superintendent, with the other administrators, and with your fellow school committee members. And, everything is about trying to nudge in the right direction. But I think where I hope I've made a difference, and where I hope I'll continue to make a difference, is around communications and around wellness issues. So on communications, that was sort of my first love, because I came to this with a background in journalism. So I wanted to help be more transparent. I wanted to explain things in a simpler way. I wanted to reach out to community members where they were. You make it a little bit easier. And I think there's a couple of things we've done that I think have gotten us on a better path that way, but I think we still have a lot to do. I think we have a lot of work to do together, and I think part of what I've done is by building a good relationship with the superintendent, I think that he trusts me more now. I think he's willing to let me do things now that he would have not necessarily supported, when I was in my first year. For example, we've worked really hard to build our newsletter, and we've gotten it up to over 600 subscribers now. And it's only a monthly newsletter, but that's our collective voice about what we're trying to advocate for and what's going on in terms of the school committee's work. And the superintendent's going to send that out in a mass email. We had to kind of go through, we talked about it for a while, had to talk to our attorney, I called the Attorney General's office, it took some doing, but he's going to send that out and try to help us grow our subscriber base.
Good.
So we're getting there. We have a lot of work to do on communications, though.
How do you think your skills help the committee?
I think that by virtue of my background, I think I have a way of communicating that's straightforward. I think I just have a natural tendency to want to put things in plain language and to want to simplify, and I think that just comes from doing that, in my work for so long. I think that I'm more willing to write on a regular basis and keep that line of communication going, and I think that communications background is probably the most specific skill set that I have. I think I've learned a few things. I think I've become a better advocate, for sure. That's a huge part of what we do. And I think that I've learned a tremendous amount, but I think that's the skill set, that I brought to it just by way of career background.
Yeah, journalists don't get to advocate unless they jump to the op-ed page.
Right, right, exactly.
But anyway, what do you want to accomplish on the committee in the next term, should you be elected?
Several things. I think I have figured out in this role that one of my big interests is really around general wellness issues. Mm-hmm. So with another parent and with the superintendent's help, we relaunched about a year ago the Wellness Council. Mm-hmm. This is separate from the school committee, but it dovetails into what we do. So I'm sort of using that as a place where I can nudge along some of those interests, and I think it's helping me get more traction to get things done. For example, so with the Wellness Council, we've broken down our work into 3 areas. One is on physical activity, just getting the kids moving more, outside more. And you've probably heard about laps at lunch. That's one of the things.
I volunteer for those.
Good for you. Thank you. Yeah. So that's one of the things that we're really trying to help promote. It wasn't our idea,
right.
But we are trying to help really push it and get people to volunteer. And
it's fun, actually, to watch. I did the young kids, and then I do middle school. And there's a difference there. But at any rate, that's another story.
Well, Joan Shaughnessy came up with our last newsletter says, observe middle schoolers in their natural habitat. Yeah, that was Joan Shaughnessy. Can't take credit for that. She should have written headlines. We're hoping to spread the word on that because it's just a way of getting some extra movement in their day. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then the Wellness Council is also working on improving the food in the cafeteria. Mm. And we're also working on our third area is social emotional. So that, crosses over with physical activity to some extent. It's, mindfulness and anything that falls under the social emotional well-being of kids mm-hmm. in general. So those are the 3 areas that the Wellness Council has been working on. But those are also things that, as a school committee member, I'm interested in. But mm-hmm. it has helped a lot to have this other vehicle because it gets me meeting with people I wouldn't otherwise meet with. It gets me able to advocate for those issues in a way that I wouldn't naturally be able to on a regular basis just as a school committee member.
Okay. Now, have you given any thought to how you will measure your own success, or not your success personally, but,
Yeah, I think that not everything is easy. Not all of these components are easy to measure, but certainly growing our subscriber base. The previous chair, a couple of chairs ago now, had a lengthy list of subscribers to regular communications, and the list got corrupted. So we started from 0.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've gotten to more than 600 now is great. But I'm hoping, we keep those numbers going up, and I think working with the superintendent, that's going to help us. And I think one measure, I drafted a communication plan for the school committee, but what I really want to do is see us do a joint communication plan, the district and the school committee, because I think that that's where you can really find success. I think we need to figure out, we need to work more as a team on communications. So I would see, some kind of plan in place, some kind of joint plan. I would see that as a measure of success for sure.
Okay.
But I could give you a few other measures of success too.
I think not in the short timeline that we have for tonight. So what worries you the most about the schools looking ahead 5 to 10 years?
Two things popped to mind. I mean, money always. We don't get enough money from the state. But also, I'm concerned about the things that we see coming out of the Metro West Youth Behavior Survey. I'm really worried that our numbers around anxiety and mental health issues continue to go up and have for the last 10 years. That doesn't make us unusual. Holliston is in the same boat with other Metro West communities, but I think there's something going on. Either, it's the combination of the world we live in now, the testing pressure, the fast pace. I mean, there's something going on that is not working, I think, for a lot of kids. And I'm really concerned because when kids are anxious or depressed, they're not available for learning. And I feel like the things that we're doing around innovation, I hope are going to help with that. We have been, the superintendent, with a lot of help from grassroots group of parents, Ann Buckley and some other people who do parent ed for the PTO, have really pushed this idea of innovation, which I know you did a show about.
We did do a show on it.
Innovation as sort of the counterbalance to an emphasis on test scores. And I really think that's a great direction to go in. I'm 100% behind that. I've learned a ton about it in the last year thanks to all of that work. And I feel like that could be a big part of the solution. If we ease up on kids in terms of this teach to the test kind of go, go, go mentality, and if kids are more engaged, I wonder if that will help us with some of the anxiety and depression numbers we're seeing. But if it doesn't, then we have to try something else. We have to figure that piece out because it's scary.
Yeah. The other thing, though, I would say is that have we done a study of the anxiety and mental health situation with the adults in the last 10 years, and is there any relationship? But I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's talk about the transparency thing. Lots of people say, oh, we never know what's going on and so forth. You've talked about the newsletter. You've talked now about trying to do something more jointly with the rest of the district. Anything else that you can think of that helps or could help?
I think that it's always going to be a battle to get people to consume the information. So we're always looking, I don't think it's so much about the information, because I can tell you
where it all is. It's all everywhere.
There is more information than you could ever possibly want to know about our budget, for example, online. From the website. There is a ton of information. I don't think it's about transparency as much as it is finding a way to help the community access it. So I hope we are able to improve the website. I think that would go a long way. We just don't have the money to do it right now. We don't have the resources. We're spread too thin. And I'm not the only school committee member that's been talking about wanting to improve the website, but I hope we can do that. I think that would be huge. And I think having a joint communications plan would help for sure. But I don't think it's about, and we also we started this partnership with ClearGov, so that there's a ton of information online that you can go to cleargov.com and you can see how Holliston compares in a number of different metrics budget-wise with other towns and cities in Massachusetts. So I don't think we actually have a problem with the big picture transparency. I think the information, anybody who wants to find out about what's going on in our school districts and how it's running, I think the information is there. I think that we are still trying to figure out the best way to curate the right pieces for people who want that information.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard because you can't force people to read what you want them to read. You can't, force them to consume it.
The other thing is that some of it is like the budget. Even those of us who sort of get jazzed on some of this stuff, the budget's enough to put anybody to sleep.
Yeah.
Because there's so many layers to it. It's not a clean cut, straight line to be able to get the information. So.
Yeah, and it never will be.
So now, one last thing. Where do you get your information about what's going on in Holliston?
The Holliston Reporter, and then word of mouth, which a lot of times is through Facebook. I go to a lot of meetings, so a lot of times I'm getting information directly. I don't see a lot anymore in the Globe where I used to work, or even Holliston Tab and some of the other more mainstream
Metro West.
regular.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot about what's going on in Holliston there. I learned all about water by watching your show. So I think I think I have the same problem that other people are having, that there's a lot of different sources of news and they're ever changing, and it takes a lot of energy to filter it and figure out where the information that you want is located. Yeah, this information age is overwhelming. Yeah, for sure. If nothing else. All right, is there anything that you want to add or say just as we wrap this up? Yeah, I'm looking at my cheat sheet. There's a few other things that, I think... We have about a minute and a half. Oh, I'm going to talk fast. Communications, a couple things I just want to point people to, because I have worked on communications a lot, is that we do have, because I was an incoming parent when I was a new school committee member, Jamie Slamey, the principal at Placentino, put together kindergarten frequently asked questions that's on the Placentino website. So all those things that I didn't understand when I was a new parent, she answered those and put them up on the website. So you can go one of the first two drop-down tabs. And we also recently put on a communications protocol. We worked on this. The superintendent put it together, and we worked on it through the communications subcommittee, which I chair. And it's basically like, who do you call when you need X or Y or Z within the schools? Okay. Yep. So just wanted to mention both of those things as resources. But as you say, there's information out there. It's just I didn't know those were there. Not that I am at a stage in life where I need them now, but still, how do people get to know that they're out there? It is hard. It is very hard. A more user-friendly website would help, for sure. Yeah. All right. So this interview has been with Lisa Kocian. Thank you very much. Candidate for school committee for re-election. Thank you for watching Just Thinking. Please remember to vote on May 22nd. And please remember that the town meeting begins on May 7th. We need a quorum of 100 voters. One issue that looms large is the DPW's request for $8.375 million for a new treatment facility at well number 5 on Central Street. This question also appears on the town election ballot as a debt exclusion request. This means that we borrow the money and pay off the note, but do not increase our property tax base under Prop 2.5. It is a once-and-done debt. It must pass at the town election in order to move forward. Please participate in both events, town meeting and the town election. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time.